welcome back to My Child and I, where it takes a village to raise a child. So we've taken the topic of violence against children to the village. We're here in the city of Bridgetown, Barbados, and I'm with two members of the public. I'm just asking them about their own thoughts. How could we solve? What advice would you have for parents who are still using very violent, harsh methods of discipline on their children, placing their hands in hot water, and those kinds of things that we used to say were archaic? What would you say?
I think really that that's really cruel in terms of that. But there are other ways that you can actually discipline a child. Yes, it's worrisome in terms of speaking to them, but you need to speak to children because they are children. When it's come time that you really have to discipline them, then sometimes you need to have something we call a naughty cheer. Or other times you may decide no, give them a soft spanking or at that specific time to let them know that what they're doing is not the right thing that you should do. And also show them the consequences of their actions. Give them a long distance view of what can happen if they do not follow the particular trend or what you want them to do at that particular time.
Well, you're obviously a parent and obviously have had to deal with your own issues. Do you find that with your child you are able to remember? You know, sometimes when you get really upset, how do you remember, okay, I'm going to take a step back? What do you do? Maybe you can help a parent today.
No, sometimes I would take a time out, especially when you really get angry.
Yes.
I also, the parent, needs sometimes to take a time out or break before you actually decide I'm going to discipline the child itself. Because it takes the anger off me and help me to focus a little bit more on the child itself and not how I'm feeling.
I want to thank you so much, and your son. Thank you so much for allowing Daddy to talk. And we have a youngster. We had one youngster during the program itself, and when we were talking earlier with our stakeholders, and he was able to help us to bridge some of the gaps. Could you help us today? You're a youngster, got disciplined quite recently, I'm sure. What advice would you have to parents who are still using methods that are hurting kids, that are sending them to the hospitals, that are breaking their shoulders? What would you say?
Well, obviously, I think that is wrong. That is extremely wrong. But I mean, in the age we're in, with all the technology there is and stuff, there are so many ways to administer punishment to a child. Obviously, I don't take away corporal punishment. You know, they say it's spare the rod, spoil the child. But there's Facebook, taking away things like Facebook, taking away things like cell phones, all that kind of stuff that children depend on. And I'm talking about young people.
Yeah, so you're saying make the technology work for us.
Yeah.
Because it's a consequence to action. We will take it away from you. And these days you guys seem to need it a lot,
yeah,
right?
you seem
But
to
we
need
all
it.
do.
Yeah. So, I mean, doing something like that, I think would speak to the child a little more than like taking away something like a book or... Children are not really into that kind of stuff. Yeah, nowadays. So, yeah.
You know, they say that we've heard some objections to the fact that there's a lot of new ways and new parenting approaches that say, you know, talk to the children more, you know, try to understand their needs. But then there are those who say, well, that is almost like you're spoiling the child. But do you think it's important, I mean, as a child, to be allowed to have that expression that allows you to and your parents to spend more time trying to understand you than trying to say, well, this is how things are to be? Do you think there's value in that?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it has to go both ways because you don't want to give the child, you know, too much liberty, because I've also done a bit of teaching, so I know firsthand how children see that gap. So they take a 6 for a 9.
Well.
So they know that they can get away with something. So I think it has to be, you know, a give and take, that a parent still has to be a parent and not too much of a friend. So the parent still has to be very precise in what they say to the child, and the child still has to be a child and listen.
Wonderful.
At the end
I
of
hope
the
you
day.
make a great father. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're in the city of Bridgetown because it takes a village to raise a child, and we are taking the topics to the village today. We're talking about violence against children, the one that happens in the home. And we've bounced up on Invader. We've known him as Invader for years because he used to sing calypso that helped us to understand the issues over the years. We're talking about violence against children, and we're looking at what solutions, what can parents do to stem this tide in the homes.
I think, first of all, parents must recognize that children are a blessing. It's a blessing from the womb. And that acknowledgement of the Creator's involvement in your life and having given you the responsibility, the stewardship, if that is not understood, then everything is lost. And when you look at life today, I suppose the pressures, the breaking up of the family unit, so many forces that are acting against this unity that we need. We understand, let us say, why. How do parents, let us say, counteract that? The studies have shown, I mean, clearly, that once you miss those first 5 years, that between 1 to 5, because this is what neuroscience shows. Neuroscience shows that the doubling, the grabbing of information, the associations that are going on in those first 5 years, if you miss that 5 years, the horse, let us say, is gone. So understanding some fundamentals, let us say, like that. And then you had the extended, let us say, family.
Beautiful.
I think that, I mean, children, it's a challenge. You know, it's really a challenge.
They are wrapping us up. But I know that you know how to do this thing in song. You have been telling us in song how to live
You know,
life
I wrote
for
a song
years.
called If You Want to Be a Winner. And I said, the road is long, it's wet and slippery. Take your time and drive. This was the children.
Wow.
Take your time and drive. You must be strong. Pushers out there in coat and tie. Help them against the
I want
pushers.
to hear it with the melody.
The road is long, it's wet and slippery. Take your time and drive, my friend. You must be strong, alert and savvy. You gotta know which gears to change and when. Drugs in the way. Take care, I say. Pushers in coat and tie. Don't stop or you will cry. Your reputation greater than gold, I know. On this rocky road to Winners Road. Let's go.
It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. Don't go away. There's more My Child and I. Stay with us.